Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. Just a great day, and just had a wonderful tour, and we have just an incredible cast of leaders who I'm going to be introducing to you today. I want to begin by thanking the Boston Housing Authority and Franklin Field for embodying what it means to bring climate solutions home. You are doing amazing work here at Franklin Field. I'd also like to express my appreciation to the other solar-powered climate luminaries who are here with us today. Our great governor, Maura Healey, is with us. Boston's Green New Deal Mayor, Michelle Wu. The extraordinary Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan is with us today. Environmental Protection Agency Regional Administrator David Cash is with us. Acting Director for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, Jahi Wise, is with us. He's the guy who put it all together, all of these programs as they're about to unfold. Joe Curtatone, the president of Northeast Clean Energy Council. Kevin Knobloch, who is the soon-to-be Chief Executive Officer of Greentown Labs. Right over here, Kevin. Lou Antonellis, Business Manager for Local 103. Chrissy Lynch, Chief of Staff of the AFL-CIO. Darlene Lombos, Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Greater Boston Labor Council. Brian Doherty, Secretary Treasurer of the Boston Building Trades. Joe Byrne, Executive Secretary and Treasurer of the Carpenters. We're also joined by State Representative Chris Worrell. Where are you, Chris? Boston City Councilor Brian Worrell. Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez-Anderson. Boston City Councilor Sharon Durkin. Boston City Councilor Kendra Lara. And President of the Urban League of Massachusetts, Rajan Hall, all joining us today, along with Casey Bowers, the Executive Director of the Environmental League of Massachusetts, is with us, and Nicole Obi, President of BECMA. So thank you all so much for being here today. Just an incredible dawn of an era. For more than a decade, I've envisioned a national climate bank. We built one into the first comprehensive climate bill to ever pass a chamber of Congress. And I co-authored that bill. It's known as the Waxman-Markey bill. In 2009, we passed a climate bank on the floor of the House of Representatives. It died in the Senate. But since then, I have championed the National Climate Bank Act in the Senate to keep that vision alive. It is a core to a one-of-a-kind innovation engine that would propel our climate goals into climate gains by financing clean energy projects, clean and healthy housing, clean transportation, and climate-resilient projects in communities all across our country. We would leverage the power of public and private investment by as much as 12 to 1. 12 private dollars for every one public dollar, bringing real dollars, not false promises, into frontline environmental justice communities. For community solar projects, for affordable housing efficiency and electrification projects to help businesses and nonprofit groups retrofit their buildings. And we're sparking a clean economy revolution and creating good paying union jobs along the way, upholding our Green New Deal promise of jobs and justice and climate action all at the same time. But a vision without funding is an hallucination. So after years of Republican climate denial and delay and diminishment, we are here today to celebrate a landmark $20 billion in funding that was included in my National Climate Bank law that has turned that vision into a reality. The vision of a national green bank that has become the reality that we celebrate here today. Every day we feel and we see the impacts of the climate crisis. In this city, we have seen skies darkened by wildfires, flooded streets, and extreme heat that threatens our most vulnerable. There were 3 tornadoes in Massachusetts last week. That is crazy. We know that it's no longer global warming, but global weirding which is taking place. Here in Boston, either we take the science-based backed steps now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, or under the worst circumstances, by the end of the century, average Boston temperatures could increase by as much as 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas could rise more than 15 feet. Rainfall could increase by 30%, and flooding could surge by 70%. A truly endless summer could be our future by 2100 if we don't take action now in our communities. And that's why, as the chair of the Senate Subcommittee on Clean Air and Climate, I worked hard and was ultimately successful in ensuring that my National Climate Bank Act was included in the historic Inflation Reduction Act that was signed into law a year ago this month by President Joe Biden, the greatest climate president in the history of the United States. We can't say enough good things about Joe Biden. I fought to secure $20 billion for this national clean financing network, which experts say will unleash $250 billion of additional private sector investment. Hundreds of billions of dollars for a green, clean revolution in our country led by the clean tech sector of Massachusetts. This idea for a national climate bank has become the single largest climate investment in the Inflation Reduction Act. And it is the largest investment in financing for community-based climate projects in our nation's history. We are building the second green monster here in Massachusetts, and it has both justice and union jobs at its core. And I made sure that the legislation was clear. At least 40% of the National Clean Financing Network funding had to be spent in and with the communities that need it the most. The communities who have suffered dirty air, water, and pollution for decades, and that means that at least $12 billion of this funding must go to climate-smart projects in low-income, Black, Brown, Indigenous, and rural communities in our country, unleashing hundreds of billions of other dollars in investment. After a generation of discriminatory local, state, and federal redlining policies, we can begin to promote equity and justice by enabling Black and Brown communities to ensure that there is a green lighting of climate projects through the new National Clean Financing Network. And we're very proud that this legislation incorporated into the Inflation Reduction Act is the largest investment in our nation's history to create a national network of nonprofits, community leaders, and other financial institutions to fund tens of thousands of climate and clean energy projects. Hundreds, even thousands of those projects will be, should be here in Massachusetts. And we're going to make sure that we're at the front of the line applying for all of this funding. We have so many exciting beacons of this work already, including the recently launched Massachusetts Community Climate Bank. Thank you, Governor Healey, the first green bank dedicated to affordable housing in our nation's history. We can see the real world benefit of climate finance when we look at properties like Franklin Field, which leverage public dollars to install energy efficient appliances, cut energy bills, improve quality of life for residents. Thank you, Mayor Wu, for being the municipal leader for the country, showing what can be done. That is the kind of innovation that can be unleashed with investments as a result of that vision, that work for a national climate bank. That work means jobs for our unions, making houses cleaner and safer, and electrifying our homes. Places of worship will qualify, and businesses and building communities that will withstand climate disaster. From housing to transit to places of worship, clean energy, new union jobs in every community. This is a new era of climate opportunity. Today, we celebrate a huge investment, but it is much more than just an investment of dollars and cents. It is an investment in the future, in dreams, in ambition, in potential, in capacity, and in innovation, in the people who live and work in this community, in Franklin Field, and in communities all across the Commonwealth and the country. Today is a testament that when we work together, when we build a climate movement that is undeniable and undeterrable, we can achieve great things. And this is only the beginning of fulfilling our promise to create a healthier, cleaner, more prosperous Commonwealth and country now and for generations to come. That is why we are here today. And it is now my honor to introduce our first speaker, the Commonwealth's Governor, Maura Healey, who has always been a trailblazer, embodying Massachusetts' revolutionary spirit. She has helped lead the Green Revolution, establishing the nation's first green bank dedicated to affordable housing and allocating a remarkable $558 million in annual funding to the Commonwealth's Energy and Environmental Affairs Office. Please join me in welcoming our great Governor, Maura Healey.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Thank you so. What a beautiful morning it is in so many ways. I want to begin by thanking Senator Markey, who is a tireless champion for our state, for the environment, for justice, for our country. We are so lucky to be represented by him in the United States Senate. Look at him pioneering once again, not only on climate change as a threat and talking about what is so real and pernicious every day. We see it, but importantly on solutions, on the things we need to do right now to take us forward. EPA Administrator Michael Regan, welcome to Massachusetts. And we love the Tar Heels, but we take a certain pride here in Massachusetts, and we're a little competitive. And we'd like to say that, you know, standing before and around you, among you, are some of the greatest folks in this collection of activity, from Senator Markey to our fantastic mayor, who has been really America's climate mayor, and Michelle Wu. She's elevated climate concerns to the very top of her administration. To our regional administrator, David Cash, who's always been a strong partner to the administration and a longtime leader in state level and cross-sector environmental policy. So we welcome you as well to the wonderful advocates who you'll hear from, who really are so much of the driving force. We see some others out there among us, a driving force in so much of what you're seeing in terms of policy and innovation. And we love to show them off. So welcome to Massachusetts, and thank you, Administrator Regan, for the work that you and the Biden-Harris administration are doing every single day that is resulting in a transformational climate agenda, particularly for prioritizing state and community partnership. That's how we get things done. And I also want to acknowledge our partners here in labor who have been with us right at the table every step of the way, and we are so grateful to them for that. I think that includes Darlene Lombos of the Greater Boston Labor Council, Brian Doherty of the Boston Building Trades, Lou Antonellis of Local 103, Joe Byrne of the Carpenters Union, and let's see, Chrissy Lynch I also saw from AFL-CIO, among other leaders. So thank you, thank you. Among the many things that Mayor Wu did to advance such a strong and powerful climate agenda is the appointment of our Boston Housing Authority Administrator Kenzie Bach and Deputy Joel Wool and the BHA team. Thank you. We just took a tour of the buildings. These are state buildings. Those are federal buildings. These are all going to be transformed in a way that's going to make a meaningful difference in the lives of so many people. I want to thank members of my administration, our team, and our partner agencies who are working together on climate action. Our Deputy Climate Chief, Jonathan Schrag, who is part of our nation's first cabinet level ever state climate team. Catherine Antos, our state's first Undersecretary for Decarbonization and Resilience. Mass Housing Executive Director Crystal Cornegay, a key partner in our work to decarbonize the building sector. And you're not technically part of the administration, but you were always on our team. To the advocates and the residents here of Franklin Field, you'll hear from Josie shortly. Thank you so much for your dedication. So we may not be on the waterfront here at Franklin Field, but we are on the front lines of climate change. I'll tell you that. That's because we understand that unfair, unequal health impacts, including higher rates of asthma, not only exist, but are going to get worse if we don't do something about it. And that's what environmental justice calls for. That's what the work is about here at Franklin Field that we're talking about today. And that's why we're working hard to do all we can on all of our climate policies across all of our state communities. The EPA's $20 billion Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, long championed by Senator Markey and now enacted through President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, is a national clean financing network. We see it right here in Dorchester, the kind of impact that this fund will have across the country in reducing emissions, improving lives. And we plan to keep leading the way here in Massachusetts. As Senator Markey said, just over 2 months ago, I announced the Massachusetts Community Climate Bank. It is the first green bank in the country that is dedicated to affordable housing as its primary focus. Our climate bank makes us eligible for these new federal funds, and our affordable housing focus puts us in an exceptionally strong position to advance the environmental justice work that Senator Markey prioritized and that the EPA has prioritized. And it's a powerful example of how, if we go all in and we work together, we are going to see unprecedented opportunities and returns for our state and the health and well-being of our people. I also want to acknowledge Joe Curtatone, who's heading the Northeast Clean Energy Council. And I say that because, Joe, I appreciate all of your efforts and your partnership. I think one of the things that's special about Massachusetts is this secret sauce of people working together in government, state, local, federal, also in the NGO community, in the advocacy and grassroots organizations, and also with some of our business organizations, trade organizations. And that's what it's going to take to get this done, to move things forward. Our newly enacted budget not only establishes, as was mentioned, record levels of investment for funding for climate resilience and clean energy, it also includes resources to set up a building decarbonization clearinghouse. Now, this clearinghouse is going to help property owners, residents, and businesses upgrade and electrify their buildings. It's going to use tax incentives, some direct payments under the IRA, combination of funds to get this done. This is so important, particularly in our cities where we know our buildings are contributing upwards of 70% of our greenhouse gas emissions. So know that we're going to be working together across government, across sectors, with our cities, towns, and rural communities to compete and maximize our access to these funds and more. It's also why I established an Office of Federal Funds that is chasing every single dollar that we can, looking to maximize for the greatest return for the residents of this state. And I say that, Administrator, because what this is all about is those little kids that walked behind here just moments ago. That is why all of us, in whatever realm we're situated, do the work that we do. We know that this is the issue of our time. This is the issue that is going to decide our fate, the fate of those little people and generations to come. And that is why I am so proud to be able to stand here with my colleagues and welcoming you to Massachusetts, and to let you know that we really intend to be a state, a commonwealth, truly a commonwealth that is about lifting people up and moving things forward, centering equity in all that we do, and making sure that we are doing everything we can to address the climate issue of our time. Thank you so much.
Incredible. Yeah, we have the best team in the world here in Massachusetts, and you just heard the governor and her leadership, and now it's my honor to introduce Mayor Wu, because she has just focused like a laser on making sure that Boston is the greenest city in the world, the Green New Deal city model for everyone else to follow. She has been a fierce advocate, a climate leader, ensuring that systemic problems are solved. She has been just an incredible partner and leader in charting out a vision for the future that is cleaner and greener and healthier and safer for everyone. Our great mayor, Michelle Wu.
Good morning, everyone. One of the signs of a healthy ecosystem is bees, I guess. So they're everywhere here today, and I think Senator Markey will watch my back and is ready to step in. So thank you to the federal government for many, many things that you do. We are here today to express gratitude. I'm so thankful to all those who are already recognized, colleagues in elected office, colleagues in labor, colleagues in advocacy and community. I think on the elected side, I saw that in addition to all those who were named, we were also joined by City Councilor Tanya Fernandes Anderson, who I don't think was named, but wanted to make sure to thank her and all my friends and partners on the City Council and state legislature. But most of all, we're here to thank the Franklin Field community, the family tenant task force, the young people who are part of the summer program at Franklin Field this summer, all of the staff members at the Boston Housing Authority, our partners in BHA Police and Boston Police, and everyone who has poured their hearts into making this one of the most loving and vibrant special communities anywhere in the city. And we're so excited that the efforts of this combined team at the federal, state, and local level is really making sure that we can do our part, as much as residents are putting in, that we can do our part to also try to just ease the health and comfort, climate control, and opportunity that is accessible here. We're so excited to host and to welcome EPA Administrator Regan. Thank you for your leadership on behalf of the entire administration. This is truly a moment where we have hope and excitement. And I've been reflecting a little bit. I think maybe some of the advocates in this space here might share the feeling of being able to kind of, in a contradictory way, feel both so exhausted and so energized at the same time. You look at all the headlines and you just feel we've been raising the alarm for so many years on climate, on racial injustices and disparities, on the need for working people to be at the forefront and center of our policies. And we're at a point now where so many of those issues, from housing to workforce development and jobs and safety and security, these are all calling out for action. And at the same moment, we have an incredible leadership team with the Biden administration, with our delegation representing Massachusetts, with the Healey Driscoll administration, and all the incredible leaders I'm lucky to work with at the city level every day. This is a moment unlike any other in the resources that are available, and most importantly, the energy and political will that we are ready to direct into action. I want to thank those from my team who are here, between our Chief of Energy, Environment, and Open Space, Reverend Mariama White-Hammond, here always in the green, our Green New Deal Director, Oliver Sellers Garcia, as has gotten some shout outs already, but never enough, our new BHA Administrator, Kenzie Bach, Deputy Joel Wool, who recently got married, very, very recently, and is coming back to make sure that he could help tell the story for today. So we're so grateful and congratulate him, and to all of our team members. This is, we're here because the dollars at the federal level, the policies and the opportunities at the state level, it all becomes real when at the city level we get to actually connect that to people's daily lives. And so we were here to take a walk around and to share and feel in the excitement that represents the Franklin Field community, and also to see some of the facilities improvements that are very much needed and will translate right away into generations of opportunity, health, and more. At this development, for example, as with all of them across the city, where we are really determined to make sure that our public housing stock is among the first to experience the full benefits of energy efficiency and climate control and resiliency. We are taking efforts to ensure that the gas boiler system will be converted to fossil-free heat pumps or even potentially geothermal. We're collaborating with National Grid to innovate and try to pilot some of that cutting-edge technology right here in Franklin Field. We're working to make all of our BHA buildings fossil fuel free by the end of the decade. And most of all, we want to make sure that our residents experience what it means to be the greenest city in America. We are hopeful, determined, taking action to be the city that is the best for families. This is a time when people have tremendous needs that every family is trying to address, but also when our workforce is desperate for talent, is desperate for making sure that as patterns and modes of work shift, that we can be competitive, and we will continue to be that place where new ideas are formed and new companies bring jobs here. That requires being a place where people want to live, where people can afford to live, where people know that they can rest easy because between the best public schools and great summer jobs and opportunities, youth sports, arts, and everything in between, that we are doing our part to make sure that every part of a family's life is cared for and addressed. That is our approach on climate, that of course we're measuring emissions and targets and data and all that the science is telling us, but more importantly we're measuring how people feel. Whether you are excited and joyful and supported to live in community, whether when you go to sleep at night you can rest easy because it's not too hot in the unit and the air is pure and clean because of new ventilation that's been installed. Every single dollar that comes down from the Inflation Reduction Act and every other source that this incredible team is making available, we are going to make sure stretches to address as many possible parts of our community, our economy, and our families' lives that we possibly can. And here is where the magic happens, and it all starts from the community leaders who've been making this happen for a very long time. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for all the support.
Whenever I hear Joe Biden talk about climate change, he always says the same thing. When he thinks about climate change, the first words that come into his mind are, the solution is union jobs, more union jobs. to install this clean energy revolution. And joining us here today is a champion for those working men and women of Massachusetts, of Greater Boston, the Secretary Treasurer of the Boston Metro Building Trades Council, Brian Doherty. Welcome, Brian.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is so great to be here in Dorchester with all of you. Proud Dorchester resident myself, and so great to be here with so many neighbors. My name is Brian Doherty, and I have the great honor of being here with my colleagues on behalf of organized labor. And if I can, I'd just like to say a quick thank you to a few of them. Before I get to our labor leaders, it's an honor to be here with our great governor, our great mayor, and our great senator. And the work that they're doing is incredible, and they're investing in our communities. Can we please hear it for these incredible elected allies who fight for us every day? Thank you. So thank you, Governor Healey. Thank you, Mayor Wu. Special thanks to Senator Markey and President Biden, who are investing in our communities to strengthen them every day. Some of the folks who do this day in and out, this is an amazing crowd, and I want to say that I think half of this crowd is organized labor. So thank you for unions for stepping up. This is very much a partnership, and our elected allies care about investing in our communities, and as labor, we care about partnering with them to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So I'd like to thank Christy Lynch from the Massachusetts AFL-CIO, Darlene Lamos from the Greater Boston Labor Council, Chaton Green from the Boston Building Trades, Lou Antonellis from the IBW Electrical Workers, Danny O'Brien from the Pipe Fitters Local 537, Shamia Turner, and so many others that are here today. So thank you to them for joining us. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So this legislation, the legislation that Senator Markey is bringing to Massachusetts is going to be an investment in $20 billion into about 350,000 careers. And why we feel so passionately that every single one of those jobs should be a union job? I'll tell you why. Because union jobs represent making a family have the ability to put food on the table with an income that works for their household economics. It means that every single member of that family has a chance to go to a doctor if they're sick and have health care coverage every day of their lives. It also means after giving your life, giving to your career for an entire 30 or 40 years, you have the right to retire with some dignity. That's what unions represent. Income equality, health care benefits for the family, and a retirement that we can call a dignified retirement. So for the folks who do that every day, can we please thank them for all the work they do to make sure every person has that? So on behalf of labor, it's simple for us. Senator Markey did amazing work. From the federal level to the state level to the local level, we know our elected allies, especially here in Massachusetts, are out there fighting every single day. We are proud to partner with them to do that work, because every job in Massachusetts, we have a dual goal, that every job is a good job and to make sure everyone has access to them. Because it's pretty simple. It's making sure that everyone in our community can make it, and making sure that they make it by having a decent job that provides for them and their families. So we can't do that alone. We're here today to say thank you, to say we are partners to our elected allies who fight every day, and labor is going to be there every step of the way with you to fight alongside you for these shared values. So thank you, everyone, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's an incredible day, so thank you to all of our allies and all this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And again, Kenzie Bach, Joel Wolf, they gave us a great tour of this incredible facility. And we're in the heart of the great Ayanna Pressley's district right here, and there's no one who's on the front lines every day fighting harder than Ayanna for equity and justice in all issues. And our next speaker is the most important speaker, because she represents the community. Josie Leon, the Vice President of the Franklin Field Family Tenant Task Force. And she is a leader, she is a voice for change, for the future, and she is here to talk about her experience and what a green, clean housing unit would mean to her and to all of the other thousands of residents of the Boston public housing projects across this great city. We welcome you, Josie. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Jocelyn Leon, but I'm short. They call me Josie. I am recently the elected Vice President of Franklin Field Family Tenant Task Force. It's amazing to have so many important guests here. I want to thank everybody for coming today. EPA Administrators Regan, Senator Markey, Governor Healey, and Mayor Wu, and our new Administrator, Kenzie Bach, which I had the pleasure of meeting and sitting down with her and talking about all that's going on. And the BHA staff, especially Aracelis, our task force president, and all my fellow members of the Franklin Field Task Force. I decided to join the task force because I care about my neighbors and I love this community. I lived here at Franklin Field for over 30 years, and I've raised 2 children here. I'm also a proud member of the Boston Puerto Rican community, and I teach young people to dance, and I would like for them to grow up in a safe and healthy homes. A lot of discussion here today is about building, but this event is more than that. It's about us, the residents of Franklin Field. As Franklin Field is our home. It is so important that when we talk about green future, that you start by building it here with us. I survived quarantine with the rest of you, and I know as well as anyone that we need better air quality here in Franklin Field. I cough more when I'm inside my unit than when I'm outside. And once I had to, these bees, and once I had to replace my stove because of a carbon monoxide leak. The firefighters came and I had to have my stove replaced. On the other hand, sometimes in the winter, I can feel the cold air and the breeze coming in through my windows and my door. Even snow have come in to my apartment through the doors. New electric stoves, windows, ventilation, and heating, cooling systems will be better for my health and that of my neighbors. And no longer and better life for me, my neighbors, and families like mine. Every level of government should invest in public housing first, not last. We need support from our federal, state, and city to do green projects like this that improve our quality of life. So thank you for being here today and for your commitment to investing in the residents of Franklin Field. Thank you very much and have a wonderful morning.
So Josie speaks for the millions of people who are going to be the beneficiaries of the Green Climate Bank. And we're going to deliver for you, Josie. We're going to make sure that money flows into projects just like this by the tens of thousands all across our nation. So President Biden ran on climate change. He said that he was going to create a climate revolution in our country. And after he won, he had to find the person best qualified to be in charge of this clean energy revolution for our country. And he went down to North Carolina to find the new historic leader of the Environmental Protection Agency. And while his accent may be a little bit different than ours, I can tell you that last night at Legal Seafoods, he enjoyed their clam chowder just as much as I did. So he's one of us in terms of environment and loving seafood. And all I can tell you is that we're just so fortunate to have Michael Regan to become the administrator of the EPA. He has the integrity, the heart, the endless determination, the brilliance to implement a program of this magnitude to fight climate change and to support environmental justice in every community in our country. I give you the great administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, Michael Regan.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I don't know about brilliant, but I'm smart enough not to repeat everything that these folks have said, so I'll be short. I do want to say to my good friend, Senator Markey, thank you. We would not be here but for Senator Markey. These visions of grandeur for a green bank didn't just start with this administration. He's been at this for decades, and so let's give him a round of applause. Governor Healey, it's great to be with you. Thank you. Mayor Wu, this is not just, yes. They exemplify not just state and local leadership. These individuals are national leaders. We are here today because we are taking local and state stories and we're telling a national story. We are facing a climate crisis. It will take all of us. And so I'm grateful for all the leadership here. I'm grateful for our labor leadership. I'm grateful for our investor community. I'm grateful for our advocates. We know, and the Biden-Harris administration knows, that solutions don't start at the top. They start with our communities. And our communities have had solutions for decades. Now we are actually matching the capital to those solutions. So thank you all for your advocacy. I want to thank all of the young people that are here. I think it's safe to say that every major movement in this country and in the world has been started and led by young people. We're facing a climate crisis. We're trying to reduce the climate anxiety for our young people. We can't do it without you, so thank you for your leadership and your participation. Senator Markey had a vision that he was strategic enough to work with this Congress and put it in writing. And it gave EPA $41 billion to focus on investing in environmental justice and equity and rehabilitating our communities all across the country. Of course, we're here today to talk about the $20 billion greenhouse gas reduction fund. And so I do want to thank our EPA staff that have worked tirelessly on this, the leadership of David Cash in the region, keeping all of our allies together. But most importantly, I want to thank a brilliant young man who took Senator Markey's vision and actually began to implement it, working with our local lenders, our environmental justice community, and Wall Street to design this program. I want to thank Jahi Wise. You know, it's Jahi's expertise that actually matches action with rhetoric. We talk about communities, we talk about investment, we talk about connecting environment, health, and climate. Well, this greenhouse gas reduction fund, Senator Markey's vision, is becoming a reality because of Jahi. We have $14 billion that will provide grants to a national or national nonprofit financing institutions that will partner with the private sector. And I know Senator Markey used a 12-to-1 number for matching. But the most basic understanding, because I have to keep it basic for myself, is that this $20 billion will pull hundreds of billions of dollars in private capital off the sideline to invest in communities just like this. And you know, I think we have to acknowledge that in a tough political climate, we are facing a climate crisis. And as we try to reduce this climate anxiety for our young people, I have to give credit, we have to give credit to President Joe Biden. When the president talks about climate change and the climate crisis and climate anxiety, when he talks about climate, the president thinks about jobs. Because the president knows that there is integrity and dignity in a job. And that takes us to the most basic core understanding of where the president stands, which is the president is a president for everyone in this country, no matter your race, your zip code, how much money you have in your pocket. And the president has committed that he will not leave anyone or any communities behind. This is an example of the president putting his money where his mouth is. And I want everybody to understand that he is working across the aisle tirelessly to bring resources, historic resources, to all of our communities so that we can tackle the climate crisis, so that we can improve our health and our well-being, and so that we can protect this planet for the future of all of our young people. So folks, we're here today because of all of you. Collectively, this administration is trying to create a rising tide that doesn't leave anyone behind. So we're here in Boston today, yes, because of you, because of your advocacy, because of your leadership, but we're really here to mine this story and export it to the rest of the nation and the rest of the world. So thank you all for being here.
So, are there any questions for the administrator, for the governor, for the mayor, for anyone else who spoke today? Anyone? Any questions at all? Thank you all so much. Thanks for being here on this historic day. Thank you.